access property we are learning. It's one of the attributes of a programmer. Consistency. You have to be consistent with it. If not, forget about it, because the more we are bringing new topics, the more your brain will be congested. But if you are taking time to initialize them often or all over, it will now become part of you. Yeah, we know that the world we are today now, we are no longer depending on the manual things, even 100%. But there are, what gives you the expertise is what you know before approaching the AI. So don't be the type of programmer that would depend on AI 100%. So this is what we designed last time. We are still on developing the website, and this is what we have designed so far. I remember that we were still on CAD. We're still on HTML. Please don't interrupt my audio. You can leave the laptop for now. I will come back to it later.
Okay.
One of the audio is completing. Okay, save your battery. Okay, so this was what we designed the other time, and this shows that we are still building the body of the website using a structure, or let's say an element which is used to define web structure, which is called CAD, HTML CAD. So I told us that in the next class, we'll be looking at this same CAD, because this is a single card, and we want a card that at the end of the day, once we preview it in a mobile view, it should be able to give us side by side placement of the card. For example, let me show us what I want us to achieve. So let's say we inspect this page just to see how it's going to be responsive on a mobile phone. So you can see from what we did last time, the mobile responsiveness is very perfect, because on a mobile device, what we actually wanted is that a row will display a card, and that is what we are having. So this is a card with an image and then title underneath and then the description. And I told us that when you are applying it in your own projects, don't use assume text like this. Make it real. Have a focus of the type of website you are building. Then the image of that focus should be represented with this. And then the title of that maybe product should be replaced with computer set. And then say something briefly about the product or about the service of which you are representing with the image, and then you now prompt them a more button for them to go to a detailed page where they can have all the information about that product. So by the time you are going to preview your own to me, I don't want to say that you are using Lorem or this assume test. Let it be a real test about a product you are talking about in your website. So I use this template test because of time. So when you are implementing, make it a real website. Assume that you are building the site for a client. So this site is responsive on mobile. And if you want to check how it's going to be responsive across other devices, you can just check it out. So you can see that what on iPhone 12 Pro, you can see also that is very responsive. But my concern is that I told us that the way you are supposed to learn this card of a thing as a way of, structuring your website layout is for you to make sure that you know how to create one row card on a laptop. On phone, all of them will be one row per card, one row per card. But on laptop, in order to save time, what we want is that this very card, this very one that is under here, we want it to be placed by the side of this. So let's say we want 3 cards. Now, in your product page, that is the reason why I want to repeat this card now. In your product page, where you might actually want to display array of products, you may want to save space. You may not want to have one card displaying one product the way I am having it, because this is going to end up consuming your space. So a way of saving space, you will have to use a structure that captures at least 2 or 3 cards per row. But when those 3 cards or 2 cards comes on a mobile device, they will collapse to what? 1, and there will be space under them. That is actually what I want to focus on this morning. So this is the code. Let's quickly go back to our coding environment and see how. So with the knowledge of the previous card we have designed, this one is just like addition of 1 or 2 things. So if you were having issue with that one, pay attention. This one will sort, because most of the structure we use will be repeated. Only that the CSS we have different properties just because of the way we want to place those cards. So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave this particular page the way it is. So I will create my product page where I want to illustrate how to design 3 cards. And that automatically will also show us how you can create other pages content. Or yeah, let me do that because to save us time. Now, let's say I have my product page. I need to create it here. So I'll make sure that I'm inside my project folder as usual, and then click on add new file. So from there, I can say shop. I can say shop.html. Shop.html. Now, this is one way of doing it. Now, once you have done it this way, you go back to your index page where you must have already designed your header and footer. That is, you have a complete web page. Then you are expected to copy all the code and paste it here, and then delete only the body section so that you can inherit the header, the navigation bar you must have designed in the index page, and the footer, which you must have designed also in the index page. Because the way it works is this: every website you are expected to repeat the same set of headers across all the pages. So let me just show you my website now so that I can tell you, I can show you what I am saying. So that is why we spend time to build the index page, unlike other pages, because we know that once we have completed the index page, there are some things that we must have already built that will be replicated across other pages. For example, if you look at this website now, this is the home page. I have home. In fact, this is the whole of my navigation bar. Then if I go down, you will see the footer. Now, this is the footer. This is the footer on my home page. This is the navigation bar, on the same home page. So if I go to About Us now, for example, you will see that what I still have the header repeated. And then if I go down, but the body content, what you were seeing in between the header and the footer have changed. But the header itself, which is the navbar, hasn't changed. Then if you go down to the footer has not also changed. So you can see that the effort you put in designing the index page is not wasted, because as you proceed with other pages, the header and the footer will be duplicated. So that is what I want to quickly do here now. So the way you are supposed to do it next time, let me show you the fastest way of doing this so that you don't have to start copying the code and pasting them where you might mistakenly omit part of it that will end up you redesigning that correct page. Now I want to create the um the shop page or any other page. It could be about us page, it could be contact page, it could be gallery page, it could be any other page. But once you are done with your index, but as this index is now, we are yet to complete it. But because of what I want to do, I will proceed. Then when I come back to it, I will face it. Now, we have only designed on our index page, the navigation bar and the body content. We have not built the footer, which is always at the bottom of your website. So it is assumed that you must have completed these three sections designed perfectly before you can start doing what I want to do now. So now let's assume you have your header, you have your main body, you have your footer ready. What you simply do is to open up this index page. That is why it is called index. That is the compressed version of all the pages. That is all the pages emanated from the index page. That is the concept. So once you click on it, you will now go to File and then select Save As. So this is a kind of automatic way of duplicating all the things you have designed in that index page. Then you make sure that you are inside your website folder, just like the way I am having mine. And you can see that I'm seeing only the index page or file that I've created in this project folder. Once you are sure that you are in here, the name of that page is what you will now use to save it. Remember, the name of the page is shop. Then once this place is showing HTML, you don't have to write .html again because it has already chosen the word, the extension. But supposing that place is showing something like plain text. I don't know if I can quickly say it. If it's showing like plain text like this, you must add dot HTML like this to it. But where is already showing HTML, you don't need to bother yourself adding the extension. So let me see, where is it? HTML. So if I'm finding difficult, good. So I'll just pick it and then I click. Now watch out here. You can see the long process you wanted to go. The other time I wanted to create the file. After creating the file, I will now start going to my index page, start lifting all the code. So what I have done now, I have automatically duplicated every design that I've made here. Now, but I did not do that with the intention of repeating everything in that page. I did that so that those parts that I want to maintain, don't have to start creating them. So what I will do is that I will just go to the header. Remember, this is the header that you need across all the pages. So you will now go to where you started the card, where you open the number, and then clear everything down to this at the moment. But if you have created your footer, you will stop exactly where the footer starts. So you are only clearing what you have between the header and the footer. So if I check it on the front end now and see how it is, you see that what now on this shop page, I only have the navigation bar, and let's assume that I've done the footer before. I'll be seeing the footer here. Once I start creating the content, it will start going down. So now, if I click on home here, I have those things that we have designed. If I come to shop, then now shop is not added to your navigation bar. So the first thing you do now is to go and add your shop so that it can be displayed here. So to do that, I will just go to the index which we are using to produce everything. So I would like it to come after service. So I will just copy and paste, Control C, and then come here and Control V. Then I will just change here to shop. Then I will change this name also to shop.html, the way you save it. Then I will now go to, so I remember I will have done that before even pasting it. But since I have already done that, what I will do is just to take it off from here also, Control C, and then go to my shop page and then put it where I want it to be. Now, once I save and I go back to the front end, you will see the shop added. So if I click here now, you can see that what? It takes me to the shop page, which I'm here to create it content. So this is the logic behind linking what I just did now. I have also, outside duplicating, I have also linked the shop page. I've linked the home page to the shop page, because if I click here now, it take me back to the home page. While I am in the home page navigation bar, if I click on shop, it will take me to the shop page. That is what we are going to be doing for others. So for each time I want to create about any of these pages contents, just like I'm doing right now on shop page, I am going to go back to the index, save it as the URL I use to save this file is about.html. The same thing, save it as the URL I use to save this contact.html. Then I will now go back and start opening them here and start modifying their content one after the other. So now that we have already created it, what I am going to do, I will create a separate CSS that will be styling only what I am going to program in the body of each of this page. For example, now, whatever I'm going to program here, between the nav bar and the footer, we have a different CSS file. Why? Because the CSS file that you link to the navigation bar that you inherited should not continue, so that one should be left just to style the navigation bar and the footer that you duplicated. Now, for the new design that you want to bring into individual of those pages, should have their respective or their different CSS file, and then there should be a unique way of classing them. For example, now, this is where the nav bar stop. So I'm going to come here and probably say a comment. I will say what? Design. Let's say what? This is shop page content design. Now I will open the card. So this is where I'm creating the card. So the card, remember that you start by defining the HTML structure. Don't forget that. Start by defining the HTML structure. So what is the HTML structure? I'll start with div. Remember, I'm not explaining the card. You can get the explanation in our previous video. So we already know that a card has a structure whereby you have a div. Remember, that is about representing information with div. And I told us that you should always class this div in order to represent what the are saying in your card. So this one straight away is the card container. Is the card container. And remember the advice I gave to us that the class name of your div should suggest the role of that div. Div is a container element that is used to wrap or group what? Elements or other content. So with that name, container, card container, it means that it's the first box that is going to wrap everything that the three cards, which are like three columns, are going to what? Hold within this page. Then I'll bring it another div, and then I will use also class to also specify its row. So this div is to be class card. To those, take note of the structure. Now, inside this, I am going to have an image, and then the image should be, we might decide not to style the image, so we'll use the parent element to speak to them. That is, we will say card space img. In other words, that is how we are going to be selecting all the images inside the div class card. So the next thing I'm going to do is to reference the source of that image. Where would that image be cut from to the user via the browser? Remember that we have already stored our images in our image folder. So that is what I am referencing. So let's say this, and then after this, you can see that the card is what the card div is the one that holds the content directly. Why this one is just like container that will be nesting all the card. So remember what we are doing now. We are designing a structure that we have three cards per row, not like that one we did that have just one card per row. So that is the reason why we are going this way. So the next one is to specify the card title. The card title, I will use H2 to specify it. So here I will say, let's say computer set also. Then after that, the next thing I'm going to do, I would like to give them the button, the more button, the more button. But before the more button, let's describe what this computer set is all about. So I will just put, I will just say, let me use lorem test. Remember, this is supposed to be a description of the the product image. This is the product image. This is the name of the product. And then here you want to say something briefly about the product. And then because I told us that most time you are not expected to over explain, because it will make your website look crowded or more or congested. So what you do is to highlight it a little, say little things about it, and then you prompt them a button that will take them to a page where you have compressively said everything about it. So I will just put my button here. Remember, we follow this same step. Now, my button here will now be what? Learn more. Learn more. That is, or you can just put more and put dot dot. So that is the end of the first card. So I want us to observe the structure before I duplicate it for other card. So now let's go to the front end and check what we have done so far. So you can see this is the image. Now, never mind the way it's displaying, because it's possible that, let's see what we have here. Yeah, because of the image size, that is why it's pushing everything that way we have it. After all, we have not come to the CSS. So what we are going to do is that this same format, this very one that you have designed here, like this, you copy it. You are still inside this container. You copy just from the div with the class name card, then copy it. Like I said, you are still inside this container. You paste. So this is assumed to be Second, this is card 2. Why this is for better explanation. So this is card 1. Then you are still pasting while you are still inside the the first container. So you come outside here. This should be card 3. So if you want to maintain it, that is how you continue. Now, if I go to my page and refresh, I think I have all the card. You can see 3 of them. Okay, now we will now go for the styling now. The styling is the next thing we need to consider. So let me be sure that we have everything here. So you can see the challenge we are having, because I noticed that this particular link, this particular tag, when I was clearing those things we inherited, I removed the closing of it. That's the reason why you see that we are no longer seeing our navigation bar. So it looked as if it's a continuation. We are still inside it. That is why your properties, your images are displaying this way. So we are supposed to have all our navigation bar, stick here. And then whatever we must have added, we display under it. So what I'm going to do is to quickly trace it. This is where it stopped. So I'll just come under and just what? A slash. And then once you click on it, it will bring out the closing. If I go back to the page now, we have them what? Display. So you can see it. So what is actually stretching this now is the image size. So let's go to the CSS and start styling these 3 cards. So like I told us, we are creating a different CSS file just for styling those things that I've added to this very page. Now, I will use the name. I will use the name. Sometime, so developer will just use the internal method, so that to avoid having too many CSS files. They will just come here as usual. For the internal method, you just simply say style. So each of those pages where you are modifying the content, where you are introducing the content in the body, you can just use the internal to capture their CSS. But I'm not going to do that. I just wanted us to know that you can use that option. So I'll go back to my CSS file as usual. I will say shop, so that I will know that, okay, this is the customized CSS for the shop, body content that I'm building. So once I've done that, as usual, you have to go back to the shop HTML file and link it. So right now, we are now having 2 CSS link. This one is the one that is styling the header and the footer that you duplicated from your index page. That one should not be touched. So you now add this one here, slash, as usual, go to your CSS file and then pick it. So now you go to your CSS for this and then start styling. So the first thing I want to style is the first container, the one with class. I told us something the other time, that anytime you are styling your HTML element, always understand the selector. The selector is very important. How are you establishing communication from CSS to the HTML? How will CSS know which of the elements in your HTML file or structure that should be talked to? That is the reason why you have to go back to your HTML and check the structure. Remember that this is the section we are talking to. So this is the first thing I am going to talk to. So I can just copy it to avoid typographical error, and then come here and say we are styling what? This now. So remember that that is the main div that is holding 3 cards. So I will just come here, because it's a class element, I have to start with period before the name. And then I'll declare my CSS block. And then I will start with display. Display, I will say flex. I have already explained this concept to us before, that whenever you see a programmer using the display flex, it's talking about the positioning of things in a container. Get it right. You cannot call one individual element that does not wrap other things inside and you are saying display flex. It doesn't work that way. For example, now I cannot say H2 only without having maybe P tag inside it and other elements. I will just say display flex. So display flex is used where you have a container holding different element and you want to place those content inside it side by side. I've explained this the other time. So if I go back to the page now, you will see that that will have been done. You can see what has happened now. This is exactly the kind of card we are targeting. So you can see that the second card is now placed by the side of what? The first card. And then the third card is placed beside the second what? Card. So once we define the card width, everything will fit, and then make sure that it tallies with what? Our page navigation bar width. So as like I told us, we are reusing some of those things that we have learned before. Now, I would like everything to wrap. So I'll bring in a CSS property called what? Flex wrap. So, and I will use what? Wrap. I have told us something like this before. When you are practicing on your own, the era we are now is the era of integrating AI element in whatever you do if you must be professional in tech. So let me show you. Let's say you have a code and they use a particular CSS property and you are wondering what is the role of this so that you have proper understanding about why you are using that particular. You can just quickly go to your chat GPT or you use your what is it called? Let me just say I go to my chat GPT quickly because these are some of the things that we need to learn alongside as I am training us. We need all this knowledge in order to make your work better. All professionals these days are having touch of AI in whatever they do. Now, I can say, okay, I can say act as a web developer. Help me with the meaning of this in CSS. So I just want to show us this so that you know that there are questions you can ask ChatGPT without involving even your tutor. There are a lot of things you can find out. Now look at it here. In fact, you ask for one thing and a lot of illustration has been given. In CSS, flex wrap is a property used in flex box layout to control where flex item should wrap onto multiple lines when there is not enough space in the container. So you can see that it aligns with what we are doing. So where there's no enough space, you can see that everything span and our navigation bar was extended just because we have not said should be wrapping. Instead, it was busy using what? The space available. And it went further to even give you an example, just like what we are doing. Display flex, then this is exactly what we want to implement. So I just wanted us to know that you must learn to add research to any program you are learning as far as tech is concerned. So now if I go back to the front page now and check that page, where is the page again? I think it should be the page. So most of those things that we are talking about will be applicable when you are on a different mobile or on a different screen size device. So remember that this website is responsive. Some things might not show the way you want them just because you are on laptop view. So that is why most of these things, you see them playing out when we start viewing it on a mobile view. Then we want to justify the contents. These are another CSS properties that you must know when to use. Anything that has to do with justify content, justify item, you shouldn't use them on an individual element. These are properties that are only used when you are talking to a container with other properties. Now, justify content. That means it recognizes that you are talking to a container and the properties inside this should be justified. Then we have different value. We can use a center. That's what they should be placed as center. So if you go to the website now and then we say it, let's start inspecting with mobile view so that we can start seeing some of these things. So you can see that the image is the only one that have not really aligned because we have not spoken to the size of the image. Okay, so once in a while, you check how is presenting on a smaller device. Don't just conclude because everything is displaying well on the laptop. So let's go back. So that is all for that particular element. So we go to the next one. What do we want to style? Now we want to style the word dot card. Like I always say, before you start styling, recognize which of the element. We just finished talking to this now. This is where we are now. This one here. Sorry, this one. And once I style this one, is applicable to what? All the div with what? Card as a class. So always remember or recognize the element so that you have an understanding of which of the elements you are speaking to. So here I will want some margin. Here are dot card, CSS block. I will say margin. Want some margin. What does that mean? Once you call just margin, instead of saying margin left, margin right, you are automatically talking to what? You are creating this amount of space on the outside of that element. That is the space between that element from the outside to other what? Elements. I've explained the concept of padding and margin to us before now. So if I go back to the site and check, and then you will see that we have reasonable space between one and what? The other. That is the space. Now, the next thing is padding. I also want some space between this because they are all inside one div with the class name as card container. Now, remember that the plan is to display each of them that are displaying, on a laptop view, three of them will display in one row and they'll be placed side by side. Now, on a mobile view, only one will take the entire row. The second one will go under. The third one will go under. And then as they are going under, they should be leaving space on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, the bottom side, 20. And then there should be space between the content inside the card and the boundary, the border lines around it. That is what you are specifying as what? Padding, the same space of what? This. Between one card and the other. So the next one is width. The width. So you can see that right now the card they are taking more than the expected space. So what we are going to do here is to say what? Width. And this width, we are going to calculate it. We are not going to say 5 ps. So I'll put what? Cal is another what? Function inside it where you want to calculate it. So I'll say 3.33 point what? 33 percentage. So it's not that you cannot use just width, let's say 10%, so that you understand that you can calculate your width as well. So now you now put something like minus inside, say 40 what PS is a choice. What you are saying is that you are now applying this switch to all side, and you are referring to, since I put 2 there, you are referring to left and right. Now, if I go to the page now and check what I have, so you can see that this page here, this particular space has reduced, It was not like this before. It was not like this. So the next one is the border. If I want border, is actually a style. So I will just say border. Remember, I can just say my border should be 1 PS if I want, because it's a frame. 1 PS solid. And then the color I want can be, let me use hexadecimal method to call the color. Let's say DDD. Just to represent that, let me check the impact. Okay. So it's almost the same thing with the other color we are using. So I can as well say background color. I want to also use the hexadecimal method, which I want to combine this F7, F7, and then F7 is a color. So if I go back now, okay, let me refresh and see.
So I think we have not linked it.
You mean it? Because
I,
I'm not seeing most of this.
I think we have not linked it.
Okay. So let's come back here. We'll find out if I have not. I thought I did the other time. This is it now. We have, except if the CSS is not communicating, but let me relaunch it again. We'll sort it out. If the CSS is not communicating, so we will just add, let's add dot here so that you can see it to the roots. So let me link it. It's just that most of these things we have not, we have linked it. So if it is not communicating, what you do, you can actually troubleshoot by bringing them, because there are times that the external might not work. So you can take everything. So you should also know how to do that. Go to the page. That's why I was suggesting the internal. Sometimes when the file is not connecting, what you do, you just put everything here, just to troubleshoot and know where the error is coming from. If good, so we are good. Only that most of these things. So what I'm going to do, since there's no difference, it means that everything is intact. Let's just continue first. We'll debug when I'm done with the coding. To avoid conflict, let me clear this. Okay, so so the border readers, I just want 10 PS. So let me check. Want to check one to know if we have it. So definitely most of these things are not reflecting yet because I'm looking for the border readers. Let's check if, hope we are not having issue with our class name. Okay, I think I copied and paste. Let me do something. Style. Wait. 3. Just want to confirm something. See what will happen to that. I hope it's not my browser. Let me just finish writing the code. We'll debug it out. To avoid losing concentration. Okay, so the next one is box shadow. I think this, let's see whether box shadow, remember box shadow is just to add shadow between the card in order to outline them, to make them to stand out. So I can just say 10 PS. We've done something like this as well the other time. Then I'm using RGBA. Then I'll say 0,0. I'm using a color that's family of black. Command and then comma and 0.1 just to reduce the black. So let me check. I think it should be my browser. So once done coding, I will try and open with another browser. Okay, so the next thing is the image. The image. Next thing is the element we want to talk to the image inside the card, which is card img. I told us the other time that we are going to be talking to the image. That's why we did not class them. We're going to be using the parent element to talk to them. So when you say card image, it means you are saying the images inside the card. So I'll simply say card space img. Start getting some results here. So width 100%. Width 100%. Then the height of that image should be 150. So from here, we will know now if so the next one is the object fits. You can say cover. So after this, there should be reasonable changes. So we actually know if they are working or not. So border radius for the image, I want 10 PS by 10 PS. Let's check the front end. So you can see that it's working. You can see all the stuff we are looking for. They are there. Now, so this image now, this image that is displaying like this, the height, because of the shape of the image. So the height of this image, we need to change it so that we can see the reasonable part of this image. So the height of the image, we said just 150. Let's increase it to like 250. just to enable us to see reasonable part of that picture. You can even increase it since the width is 100% on laptop. Then why don't we just use, let's say what, 350, depending on the part of that image. So the image is supposed to be smaller than this. So let's say we are working with this first. Okay, so now the next thing is to talk to the H2, to the heading inside H2 inside the card also. So I'll say dot card space H2. I assume you know the structure. Let's go back just to remind us of the structure. You can see it, both the image, which we just spoke to now, and the H2 and the P and the button, they are all inside what? The div class what? Card. That is why each time we are talking to them, we are referencing the parent element, since they do not have unique class. So I can just say font size, just stay on 18 ps, which is an average of font size for mobile view. Margin, I just need margin at the bottom. Just need some space at the bottom so that it can. So let's check. Okay, so you can see we have added the space. I have some space here at the bottom. You have that space, which is equivalent to what was even there. So the next one is to talk to the P tag inside this. So it's going to be dot card, the parent element, and P. So the same syntax, dot card, P, and then, so we'll also maintain, I would say font. The font of this one should be smaller than the font I use for the header, for the heading text. So let me reduce this one to 14 ps. And then, of course, the margin bottom, I want some margin at the bottom as well. And there should be 20 ps. So let's go there and check. Okay, let's see if we have that space. Okay, so this is margin at the bottom, so that there will be reasonable space. Now, why you are doing this? Because you are targeting the mobile view. Because on laptop, it's as if we have the standard spacing. But we are considering that once we inspect the page to see how it's going to be on mobile, we are going to have issues. There's no space because of the way it's going to be compressing the content. You can see to an extent, you can see our images have started responsive before we are not seeing the whole of it. On a laptop, you are not seeing the whole image. But on a mobile or a smaller object, you are seeing that what you are viewing the whole part of the image, because you have already prioritized the mobile users, which has about 90 something percent. So you are not building this website for laptop user. In fact, you are capturing laptop user for just 5%. The remaining 95%, you are focusing on mobile users. So if it can display well on mobile, you are good to go. 5% cannot demarket you compared to 95% that will be encouraged with your design. So now the next thing we are going to do here is so that is for the P. All this you can add more if you want to change their color. Remember that, let's say I want to change the color. All these are bound to change. If you want to change the color, you can change the color, and when you go to the site, you discover that what you have all the color change depending on what you want. If you want to change the P also, there are other things, other CSS properties that you can use to modify if you want. But I'm just going through what is necessary. Now, the next one is the button. That's the button inside the same card div, because these are the three elements wrapped inside it. So I will say dot card also, and then button. So dot card button. So what do I want here? Background. I need to make sure the button is user friendly. So I'm also using hexadecimal, combining numbers and letter to form my color. You can choose your color if you want to change. Then the color of the write-up. So I'll use hexadecimal as well, which is FFF. Then padding. So these things you already know them. Padding, 10 ps by 10 ps. Then borderline. I don't want borderline. I don't want border so that the button will be neat. So I will just say none. Then the next one, cursor, I want it to be clickable to show that hand whenever the user hovers on this. I'll say cursor, then pointer. Pointer. So let's go there and check how the button good. So we have a good button. Good button. So when they hover on it, to show the hand. If you want to, add hover effects like changing the text color and the background color when the user hovers on it as another way of you modifying it, you are free to do that. So the next thing is to add, we are adding hover effect, adding hover effect on the button. Adding hover effect on the button. So remember the syntax, you call the parent element, you space, you say button, and then after that, your column, then you say what? Hover as usual before you declare your bracket. Then I just want background color to change whenever the user hovers on that button, and the color should be 3E, 8E, and the 4-1. That will form a color that is a little bit thicker than the actual color so that it will not be totally off. You can see it. So you are also conscious of your color combination because you are building user interface and you want to give them good experience. Okay. So the next one, so at the moment, these are what's the standard. Like I said, you can style those content to look even more beautiful than the one have done. If you want, the selector, you can go there. Like this one now, you can go there and add color, italic, and the rest of them. But this is the standard based on what I am looking at. Now, after this is to now define the responsiveness of this card. We should not assume that on every device, everything is going to display properly. Let me try other device and see whether everything is displaying properly. Let me check iPad Pro. So iPad Pro, everything is displaying properly. On this, everything is displaying properly. Everything is displaying properly. But this is your laptop. The browser might be the one influencing this. You need to be sure because you don't know how other browsers will interpret this. So currently, we have seen that browsers have beginning to augment some of the responsiveness for you. Even if you build some websites that are not responsive, there are now integrated features in some browsers that are helping the responsiveness. But you cannot depend on that. You need to manually state it so that if it gets to a particular browser where that browser does not have these features designed to back you up as a developer, the manual one that you must have designed will now be active. So to do that, we will now go to that aspect of making it responsive. Adding responsiveness. That is the next section. So remember the syntax. We are using a function in CSS called media query. I've explained that before. So the way you declare, you start with what? At media. At media, then you specify the maximum width. You say max width. So now you are setting a boundary that on this device, a device that is within this range, this will be the breaking point. Because if you look at this now, before we add this responsiveness, I think we need to check something. So if I go back here and I reduce this, so let me start testing the responsiveness now. So I want to check it gradually because sometimes it's the best one to check. I am going. So if it is not responsive, as I'm reducing it like this now, at some point, this image will have cut off. But you can see that as I'm increasing it, the image is also contrasting, which means that everything is trying to fit to the size of the screen that we are using. So now at media, like I was writing before, at media, maximum width should be so the first one is 7, which is within a mobile device. 68 PS. Then I'll declare my bracket, and then which of the elements you are talking to, the card, because the other ones are inside the container. The container is the first layer that is holding all of them. So I will say at this media size, a device that the range of its width is within this. How do I want the card with those images and everything inside it to display? That is the meaning of what we are. So you now declare, it means that inside the media, you declare a selector that specify the element you are implementing this media query on. And then here we want to also use the same method we used the other time to calculate the width. To calculate the width on this 50%, that is half of it. 50%, and then I have 40 PS. So that is on this device. Now I am creating the display for different devices. I'll come outside here. I will now do again at media. Like I told us, very soon we go to Bootstrap, where you will learn how to implement it to avoid stating your media query manually. So Bootstrap will save you from doing this manually, but you need to know it so that you know what Bootstrap is actually doing at the background for you. Maximum width. So here we are focusing on a smaller device than the previous one. So you can see the way, if not for Bootstrap, this is how you will have been capturing all the devices in the world and be defining their breaking points. So, but these two are the average. We have the laptop, which is from 1024, or then we have the 70, we have the 768, which is within ranges from tablet to some phones, and then we have this which capture the phone. So with these three, laptop and the 768, and the 480, most of the devices the people might likely use to access this your website will be within this range. So that is what we are doing here. So the same thing we are talking to here, card, and then the width of it. On this device, the width of the card should be 100%. So now if I go back to my page and check, so once you inspect, like I said, depending on the browser you are, but right now you have manually state your responsiveness, which will work as you proceed. So remember that there's a little bit different the way the browser was capturing it. So you can see it now. So everything is responsive. So let's go and check it by reducing it gradually like I did the other time. I'll be checking this. So perfectly. So everything is well programmed. Now, if for any reason, remember that we said that the width of the card, should be 100%. I want us to adjust something to have different display. When we started the CSS, I said the container here, the place where I say width 100%. Let me see it if I can locate it. So the card itself, this is what we calculated. Now let's assume that I just want to say width. Let's say width. I want to use this calculation. Width should be, let's say 250 PS. And let me duplicate it. Sometime after your work, you can do some findings and see what is obtainable outside what the teacher used in training you. Okay, so that applied to all the cards. So you can see this is exactly what I want us to see, because that was the original plan. The original plan is that because with the last design, we had one card per row. But as I did that calculation, the width of one is covering almost the entire row. That is why we have them placed under each other instead of side by side. Now, I want to now check the responsiveness. This is on laptop view. I want to see how these three columns on laptop will display on mobile, because what we expect is that on mobile, this one should come under, this one should follow. Then it means that on mobile, we will have per card in a row. So let's try that and check now. Perfect. You can see it now. Once it comes on mobile, the three cards, the second one will go under. That is exactly what we are planning or what we targeted. So the first one that we did then was the card, a single card. Sorry, just give me a second. That was a single card that was taking the entire row. But now we have three cards in one row. But once it collapses on a smaller device like mobile phone, each of them takes row. So now let's do that manual adjustment that I was doing that time so that you know the breaking point. You can see it. This was the The 600, let's check it this way now. This is equivalent to the tablet view. Let me take it to 100% where you can view 3 of them. Now I keep going. Remember the media screen size that we set. This the 768 and the 480. So once you get to the first one, you see that what? It will collapse. Now, this is one of it. Then once we are going to the one of 480 now, which is mobile, once it reduced to that length, it will collapse. So this is a perfect responsiveness we are talking about. So with this now, any device that's fall within those media range, they won't have issue of at some point they are not seeing some things. Everything will be captured. So any question, please ask questions now if you have any.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Please, that Lorraine test,
Hmm.
if you don't want to use it, will you start typing what you want in that place? Or I didn't get that part because in my previous assignments, I just used that Lorraine test.
Okay, before I catch you, that's why you are running to. Okay, no problem. Before I catch you, you are confessing your sin. Okay, no problem. Now, this is what you do. It's a good question that will make us to also learn something now. See, like I was saying now, that technology has advanced beyond you doing things manually. You have to learn how to integrate some level of AI into whatever you do. Even as low as Microsoft Word, let it have touch of research through the AI. Now, let's assume that you are building this site for a client, and or let's say for yourself. For example, now you are not educated enough that you can actually describe. You don't have polished English that you can write it in a standard way that will get people attention. I will make them to say, wow. What you do is that just understand the niche of that product, as in the purpose. Who are the people you are targeting to consume it? The people that have interest. Okay, this website, for example, now is about real estate. And if this is, let's say, what are those type of real estate houses? We have duplex, right? We have bungalow. Now, let's say this is one of your product, which is duplex that you have for rentage, and you want to say something about it, and you don't know how to put the content together. Once you have displayed the image, you go straight to your chat GPT like this. I think I was there before. You go straight to your chat GPT. All you need is just to give ChatGPT a brief explanation that will make, just like when you search on Google, you must give Google a keyword. We call it a keyword. It's what we tell Google, what we make Google to narrow your or its search to the answer. So that is the only thing you need these days now to use all the ChatGPT, ability to explain your problem in a concise way that, okay, based on this, to not beat around the bush, just go straight and give you the answer. So let's say you are telling arts as a web. So you are telling ChatGPT now that it should represent you. So that while you are putting this now, you can as well say write description for duplex house. It will still give you a response or an answer. But you are trying to make ChatGPT to be in you. Like it should act as if you are the one speaking so that we know, okay, this is the purpose this person wanted. So whatever is going to construct, we align with it instead of giving you the general view. That is the reason why you are saying act as a web developer. I hope you are with me, ma. Act as a web developer.
Yes, sir.
Good. Act as a web developer, building a real estate website. Help me describe. Help me describe. Help me describe a duplex. Don't know if I'm correct with the spelling of that. A duplex building. So if you don't want it to speak too much grammar, maybe you have a particular focus of the number of words you want it to stop instead of describing so many things. You can say, make it very catchy. Make it very catchy. You can say, make it very catchy to audience. And don't exceed 40 words. So you can see how you are precise because you don't want, too lengthy write-up. So you click. You can see it now. Experience luxury in this tiny what duplex. Boasting spacious interiors, sleek modern. So you can see. Now let's say after ChatGPT have given you this, you are not okay with it. You just come here and say what? More. So that it will look at it from another perspective. Discover the perfect blend of what? Elegance and comfort. Now, let's say that website you are designing, you have derived this. You highlight it like this, man. You highlight it like this, or the very part you need. Right-click, select copy. Then go back to your page. All the places where I use Lorem, for example, where I use Lorem text, I will just paste it in between the content part. So with this now, you don't
Okay.
want, did you understand it?
Yes, sir. Very well.
So with this now, you have helped yourself. When you get to any page you are designing, anything you don't understand, go to ChatGPT and then get it done. Let me refresh and see if it's updated. Here's the one I pasted now. Look at it here. You can see that it's even better than that one because it's too long. It's too long because the idea is that is the reason why you say more. So that the full description cannot be in that page where you must have dedicated them to be to this for this button to take them to. So that is how to go about it. Any other question? It's very important. You learn how to use ChatGPT. Make sure you register with them, have an account with them. It's free. Then anything you are doing, any website you are building, that is why these days now you don't need to have idea of almost all the websites. ChatGPT can know what you are supposed to. In fact, do you know that this card that we just designed now, it's just that if I give you that expo now, you know what you do and copy and paste. This card that we just designed now, we can go to ChatGPT, design 3 cards, sharp, describe it. I will not put the way you describe so that you will not go. Just because if you say design 3 card, I don't know, it will not know which type of card, whether it's a Ludo card or maybe ATM card. So you are supposed to describe it as a web developer that wants to define web structure. Once you hear those keyword web, it knows that, okay, the equivalent meaning of CAD in web development is what you are talking about. It will give you the code. Then you just copy the code and bring them down. They go into the code and start substituting. So programming is very easy now. It's very easy now. It's one of the area of tech that that AI is strongly trying to eliminate, but it will only eliminate learners, but it will never eliminate those that know how to use the AI platform to get what they want. Because like I did it now, you can see the reason why the AI cannot actually stop you, but it can stop people who don't know how to use the AI features. People who are not aware, people who don't know how to go about what I just did now. They are the people that AI is going to retire. But for us that are professional, AI is there to make our work, more professional. So if I'm to start thinking of how I'm going to write this statement, you know how long it's going to take me. And I may not even put the sentence catching like this. But with the AI, and then when I present it to my client who does not know anything, he will be, according all the accolade to me that, this person is very brilliant. Look at the grammar he used. But he or she will not know that I consulted AI. So that is the world we are in. So that is where we are now. Whatever you are doing, make sure you add a touch of AI to it. It's very important. Any other question?
Sir, please, one more thing.
Okay.
If I inspect my work, I'm
Hmm.
having challenge in after inspect, the next place to click before you see all the sizes of phone. At times I will get it, at times I will not get it. I want to know exactly after.
Okay. Now, let me just explain before we start submitting our projects. Like I told us before that for the end of the class, I'll check. I hope Flourish is still here. Start booting your laptop. Flourish, are you here? Hope she have not slept off because she know how to sleep. Flourish, is she here at all? Flourish. Not as much. Okay, let me be attending to my active students. So what did you said, okay, let me go back to, is it from the front end here? Are you talking about, let me close some of these things so that we can have focus on what we are doing. Hmm. Are you with me, ma?
Yes, sir.
So what you are saying now is can you come again? Let's say you have previewed the front
If
end.
you want to inspect the sizes of mobile
Okay, so
in the
you right click on the empty, after you have previewed it on the browser, you right click and go to inspect.
inspect,
So
then
then from here, you will see it
is
like,
where I'm having the challenge, where next to click.
okay, now depending on your browser, once your browser bring you here and you want to move from one device to another, because this is the default one that it opens it with. So you see this place. Are you seeing my screen very well where I'm navigating at?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is written there? Read it out. Let me know whether you are seeing the right thing.
It's close to the element, but I'm not seeing the right top.
Okay, so the right up is toggle device toolbar. Toggle
Okay,
device toolbar, which means that this is once you click here. If I'm here now, I'm on the view on the main website. If I come here now, I'm
okay,
what on the mobile, this is just like a tablet now. Are you getting it now? Now,
okay,
if I click here back now, it takes me back. If I click on it, take me to tablet. I'm clicking on that simply. So if I click on it once on a mobile view, if I click here on a tablet view, then here on a laptop view, which is the one that we just came from. Now, if you now want to toggle beyond the tablet and the phone, are you with me?
yes, sir.
Then you be on this mode. Then you come to this place where you have dimension iPhone. You see this drop down. You click here. These are other devices. You can check how the website will display on them. If I click here now, I will check it. So on that device, this is how it will display. It will take two. The rest, if you have four now, let's say you have four cards on this particular device. If you have four cards, it will take what? Two per row. Then I can say,
Okay.
okay, on the Pixel 7, you can see that on Pixel 7, this is how it will display, which is very professional. So I will check again. So what you do is that you know the phone, the devices people use most, like iPhone, right? And Android phone. So just make sure that you check any of those devices like iPhone 14 Pro Max. There are a lot of people that uses this phone. So just make sure that on those, check those phones responsiveness. Once everything is okay with the major devices people uses every time, you are good to go. It mustn't go with all, but at least people use Samsung Gallery. This is how they are going to be viewing your site, which is very user friendly. People using iPhone iPhone SR, this is how they are going to be viewing your site. So you can see that most of, let's say 90% of these devices, our website is responsive on them. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So you see that our website is responsive across the major devices. So once you have that settled, you don't have issue. Now, if you now want to leave here, if you want to leave here back to your laptop, you see this one is to close the whole web app. This one is to close from the mobile view back to your laptop view. This one you click. Did you see it now?
Okay.
Now, I will enable you to share your screen now so that you can play around what I just showed you now to confirm that you know it. So share your screen. Are you sharing already?
Let me open it first.
So you can see it now. Okay, good. Click on it once. Good. That is tablet. Click again. Good. That is mobile phone. Now go to the other side, that dimension side. So just check across.
Okay.
Uh, uh, Now, if you want to leave here now, yeah, click on that cancel button. Let me see. Good. That is all. So I think that is clear, right?
Okay. Thanks, sir.
All right. So we are stopping here. So let me, we are stopping here. So our assignment is to design these three cards. You know, the one you just showed me now is one card per row, right? So the one you are going to do now is to give me exactly what I did, but all these should also be different images, and the write-up should be different also. So make it real website you are building for a client. So don't just assume. I've just showed us how to work with ChatGPT in case you choose a particular type of website and you have issue with developing the content, consult ChatGPT and be able to make it more real. Then what we are going to learn in our next class is the footer. Remember that we have only out of the 3 sessions of a website, website pages, which I've explained before, we are through with the designing of the navigation bar with the links. And then we have also done the body design. Now, what we are going to learn in our next class is how to create the footer. So once we have created the footer, then we will now go back to this page. So it has, we will assume that we have done, this is what we have in our home page. And then this is what we have in our shop page. Then we have not designed anything here. We have not designed anything here. We have not also designed anything here and even here.
So then we will now go back to this and design content for this. So when we get to contact page, that is where we will now create form, which we have learned before. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once we have created content for all this, we will now learn what we call CSS animation. That is the last part of CSS. CSS animation, whereby we'll start making these images to fly, or maybe to be moving, or maybe some text to be scrolling and all of that. Then we will now go to JavaScript. Then after JavaScript, it will now assume that we are done with the front end language before we go for the back end, which is PHP, and then finally host it. And then can now say we are now web developer. So we stop here so I can export and send us the video.
Sir, please, sorry. This today's class now. Am I to create a different new file or to start the way you start your own?
Yes, you start the way I started. Start the way I started. Where is it?
Okay.
You start the way I started. Remember that the previous file, you will have this one. Only this one. You will not have this one, right?
Okay.
So what you do is that you just go through the video. You will see how I save as, and I now use the name shop.html. Then you now go to the body section, remove everything we have from the card, and then you will now design what we have here. Now you can see that everything here is what we still have in the home page. But remember, we stop here, and then from here we deleted everything that were here before. You remember? We remove everything that we had before, and then we now started creating our. Just go through the video, particularly this part. Just be following the video to get to this part so that you understand it better.
Okay, sir.
All right. So see us. That should be on Monday, so you have enough time to do this assignment. There shouldn't be any excuse. Have a nice day.
It's just,